Hey guys, it's Joette with BalloonCoach.com, and I am so excited to provide today's Lunch and Learn free content from Mallory with Good Shuffle. I met Mallory when I was networking at a Polk County Wedding and Event Pros event just a few weeks ago. And I serve on the board for that because a lot of times people are always asking me, like, how did you grow your business? And one of it is just that face-to-face networking. And still, 7 years after selling my balloon company, I still represent party people events for Jonathan Gerber at these events, serving on the board and going to these networking events once a month. And Mallory had this amazing content of 5 common mistakes event companies to make on their websites, and everything she said, I'm like, this is what happens to my Balloon Boss Mastermind members. These are the mistakes they're making. Or when I'm out in my groups and Balloon Coach Community and Balloon Business Startup, the 2 free groups that I do for people coming into the industry and the people who've been around and struggling. And conversations happen all the time about websites and what can we do to have more people. And so many people right now in the balloon industry think that they need to put all of their time on online into Instagram and Facebook, and that's not true. It's go back and check out your website, make sure you have one, and then do these things or don't do the mistakes and do the things that she tells you to fix with it. So Mallory does not sell websites. So I like to just say that up front. Mallory does not sell websites. She works with a tool that helps and do things with websites. But what she's going to teach you guys today are things that you can do yourself, or if you need some support, there are some things that she can offer you. And as a bonus for those of you who are on live today or watching the replay before tomorrow on May 26th, we are having another webinar and learn during lunch, and it's going to be on the team building side of things. So I just want to say, anybody who watches this as a replay or anybody who is on live with us, is to know there's more information. They'll be great if you're in a team-based situation. So Mallory, thank you so much for giving this information today. I'm thanking you in advance because I know just all the light bulbs kept going off on my head while you were speaking just a couple of weeks ago. And I was so appreciative that it was on your schedule to be able to do this lunch and learn for our followers today. So welcome everybody. And those who are on live, please type in the chat your name, where you're joining us from, what kind of balloon business you have. Are you home-based? Are you a warehouse? Do you have employees? Do you have a retail storefront? And then if you have a top concern about your website, type that in. And then as we go through today's chat, I'll be your voice and ask those questions to Mallory for you. And then at the end, like I do for all Balloon Coach webinars, at the end when we're done with our content, I will turn off the recording and answer any questions you guys have as a thank you for joining us live today. So Mallory, I'm going to let you take it away.
Awesome, Joette. Thank you so much for that kind introduction. It was a pleasure meeting you a couple of weeks ago, and I'm excited to jump in today. Just to give a little context about myself, I am Mallory Mullen. I have been with Good Shuffle Pro for about 3 years, but prior to my time with the company, I was an event pro. So I've spent 10 years in the industry, both serving as an event planner, working with clients, really in the industry. And my heart belongs to helping other businesses succeed, just like Joette. I also come from a family business background, so that entrepreneurial spirit in me to help business owners really maximize their business hits close to home. Part of the reason I joined Good Shuffle Pro is because our software is so easy to use for businesses of all sizes. And we were specifically created for the events industry to have everything in one place. So I like to give that context just to explain, how our frame of reference has come to be in experts in this field. We are working one-on-one with event companies day in, day out to gain control of their inventory, streamline contracts and payments, make the communication less siloed between your team for those of you who are managing additional folks, and also with all of your clients, so that your details for every single event you execute are soundly in one place within Good Shuffle Pro. Part of that product offering is an integration with your website, and you'll see peeps of our integration throughout my demonstration today. because as I have seen some of you say in the chat, ranking higher in SEO, making your websites more user-friendly, driving more business is all front and center as you think about your website presence. So Good Shuffle Pro created this really beautiful integration to help boost your SEO rankings, to drive more traffic to your websites, and obviously boost more revenue. As Joette mentioned, a lot of businesses that we work with are primarily focused on their social media presence, and that's really important. But think about when you are even checking out for things like a new t-shirt or dress, new sneakers for the kids, bathing suits for the family, vacations that you're planning this summer. Where do all those transactions take place? They happen on your website. They don't happen on social media. So while it is important to have that social presence and help people get to know you, your website deserves a lot of time and attention. Now, as we were designing our integration and working with clients, we wanted to make sure that we were designing something that is easy to use for clients. I have worked with so many business owners who have been burned by high dollar, tedious developers in the past. Not only that, but they're left with maybe a beautiful product and a beautiful website, but they can't make some basic changes themselves. So everything that I talk through today is meant to be easy, is meant to be tangible, and meant for you to do it yourself. You can always I find that most people can use the expertise of a developer to build a beautiful user experience or, revamp your brand for your website. But as far as those little changes and tweaks, the things that we're talking about today, these are all tangible things that you should be able to do yourself. So come with me now. We're going to kind of take a deep breath in and a deep breath out and really shift our mindset from having to invest a ton of time, attention, and money into the website all at once, and really shift into thinking that, hey, Mallory is suggesting some really actionable things that I can do today and some things that I can continue to make tweaks on my website that will continue to boost the performance of your website and ultimately help you earn more money. That is the biggest takeaway I would like you to walk away from this session today is your website should not be a set it and forget it situation. Your website is, like your house. You've got some home repairs. You maybe want to update things now and again. And so don't feel like you have to do everything all at one time. Take some of these baby steps that we talk about today and continuously read or revisit these concepts as you move on. So let's go ahead and dive in. I'm seeing in chat in my other screen in the corner, Joette, I'm really excited. Folks are asking some of the questions, drilling down on some of the mistakes that I'm going to highlight today.
Yay!
So the first one, without further ado, is hiding your business location online or on your website. As a former event professional, I worked for a company that our presence was trying to be vague enough that we could appeal to anyone everywhere that wanted our services. But by and large, that's impossible, right? We're not going to necessarily hop on a plane tomorrow to cater folks in LA when we were based in DC. Our target market wasn't necessarily big parties in Miami. And so even the conceptualizing where your services are offered is really important. If you weren't aware, 82% of consumers who are shopping online will perform near me searches. People want party balloons for their kids with a balloon artist near me. They want a fancy backdrop for their sister-in-law's bridal party with a provider near me. So it's important for you to contextualize your business so that you show up in these searches, because your balloons can only travel so far too, right? I assume that most of you aren't shipping your installations across country, and though you may be trucking them to a different city, you can certainly do things on your website to hit those markets. But it is important to contextualize where your business is offered. That way it's not like a needle in a haystack. Folks are not getting frustrated trying to find out where you are located. You're not sending them on a hide and seek campaign where, folks don't know where to find you. And you certainly don't want to send them on a wild goose chase looking for your services. So as a best practice, showcase where you are located. Make sure if you are in like Good Shuffle Pro located in Washington, D.C., a lot of our providers in that area, or a lot of our vendors in that area, not only service Washington, but they service the greater DMV, as it's called, area, because we touch the DC, Maryland, and Virginia metros. So not only are providers in that area saying, hey, we can do events in Arlington, Virginia, but they're also saying DMV. So if you are in Orlando or Tampa, for example, you also may transition to say things like we're offering products in Central Florida. Think about some of the terminology that folks are going to use when they're searching for you, and make sure you're plugging those locations in on your website. All right, mistake number 2, avoiding a description of services. And for those of you who are renting out, structures as part of your rentals, avoiding descriptions of what it is you do and what it is you provide. Obviously, one of the things I love about event people is everyone's heart is so willing to go above and beyond for your clients. And that is so great. That is what makes event people so special. And that is likely what retains so many of your clients. When it comes to somebody meeting you for the first time on your website, you have an expertise, right? You have something that you do well, a unique value, as we typically call it, that you can do better than anyone else. So be sure to give some context to what you do well. If there are particular services, or if there's a particular style of installation that you're known for, go ahead and detail that out. If you're putting together packages for a birthday or a special party, go ahead and really dive into what those offerings include and don't include, so that the client can easily say yes or know what to ask you about customizing. That's something that I know that comes up a lot in this space is, well, I can do this thing 100 different ways, right? A really simple example is this client who rents their Ella Ottoman, where we could set this up with a ton of different furniture. And so the client contextualizes, hey, here's the product that I'm offering, and also showcasing different images here of how that can look on a website. So this really helps give the client the understanding of everything it includes or even doesn't include. If there are special requirements for your installation, like, hey, don't forget the ceilings need to be a certain height. Or another popular one, I need a door frame at least 36 inches wide, or we're doing a really huge installation and I need a loading dock. Make sure it's clear on your website how you expect to do business with someone as well. So a lot of folks tend to put really lengthy forms on your website, which we'll dive into later on in this presentation. But it's not necessarily clear above and beyond that what that process will look like. And so this client Spectra of ours has done a really good job detailing out that expectation of not only here's how to let us know you want to work with us, but also how you can expect us to show up when we're working with you. So make sure you're clearly stating your products and services. Remember, your time is really valuable as well. And so if you have a service offering, that needs to be separated out too. It doesn't have to be this all-in-one. That's how we have a lot of scope creep. When I've worked with folks in the past, is like, hey, we want you to do this thing. Oh, and can you do this? And can you do that? And can you do this other thing? The more you can clearly articulate to clients on the front end that those products and services are all different offerings, the easier it is for you to charge for those products and services, because somebody understands, oh, the $1,200 for the arch for my sister-in-law's baby shower is not inclusive of all of these other things. So it's easy for you to draw those boundaries. Next, I saw somebody in the chat, Joette, ask about pricing on the website. And this is a hot take, but one that I have seen the data on and believe so strongly in. We believe it is a mistake to hide pricing on your website.
Yes, yes, yes. This is one of the number one things in our Balloon Boss Mastermind program we talk about, because we do have editable pricing guides that make it really easy for people to show their pricing and help them have those tools. So this was like one of the number one things when you were doing this presentation a couple of weeks ago, is like, I need people to hear this. So say it one more time for us.
Yes, it is a mistake to hide pricing on your website. And I know that feels uncomfortable, right? When we talk with folks, it's often, well, I'm willing to work on my pricing, or if somebody wants this or that, like it may be more. There's all of these situations that can change the price. But remember what I just talked about. If you can clearly articulate your products and services and now marry them up with a value of those services, a client has very clear expectations of what it is like to do business with you. Hiding your pricing can go one of two ways. It may lead a client to feel a little bit like they're working with a used car salesman. When you show up to a car lot and you're like, hey, I'm looking for a new car, what do you have? And the salesman's kind of like, well, how much you got? Right? Like that is not how you want to, open a relationship with someone. On the other end, think about some fancy restaurants, right? When there's no pricing listed in those establishments, what is it that you may assume? Ooh, this is too expensive, or this is going to be out of my budget. So providing the pricing on your website is so great to be able to showcase to folks, here's kind of where we're working. And oh, by the way, it's totally okay to qualify that, to say, hey, here are some things that kind of change our pricing, or here are some things that, we can work with you on pricing. This is a client render where she has actually hit a couple of different price points with her clients. So she does rental furniture. And so she has a bare lounge where, hey, if you want to bring the tchotchkes yourself and stylize it yourself, here's one price point. But if you want us to do the whole kit and caboodle, here's another price point. So this enables her to convey two things. One, she can hit the budget of two different types of clients. Somebody who may want to bring in some DIY elements and they just need the essentials from her, and others at a prior price point who want to cut a check and have her take care of it. It also articulates value in those other elements that she provides. The tchotchkes, the pillows, the greenery, the rugs, right? All of this can only go and service one client at a time. And so it is helpful for her to showcase what that means. I would love to open up, if I know this is a hot topic issue, I'm keeping my eye on chat. Are there any kind of questions or heartburn issues coming in from folks we should address while we're on this topic?
Great. So, guys, I know this was something that a couple of you had put in the chat and that other people have asked me before. So, feel free to type in and dive into this a little bit more if you'd like. If you are not sure why you should put your pricing up on the website, or there's other parts about it, feel free to ask. And here's what I like to share with people is I've been very blessed of being in the balloon industry full time since 2003. And when I first started, we didn't have all this amazing technology that's out there today. We didn't have access to like everybody else in the balloon industry. But now, because of going to hands-on training, I now have developed programs on what I wish the industry would have given us. And one of the number one things that I have found is that the companies who do a lot of sales do not hide their prices. So one of those people that has spoken in the past for our mastermind program is David Mahoney out of Dallas, Texas. Balloonseveryday.com. On his website, you can go and click on pricing guides and it tells you the price. Now, does he have every single price of everything that he offers? No, because some of the designs that he does are specialized. But you get that really great idea of what are those typical things that people always are asking him for. What does that cost? And then another company that a lot of people know in our industry is Balloons by Tommy. And yes, his pricing is up there. So if you're wanting him for grad season, you can go right to Balloons by Tommy's website, see what they've got going on. And it took some time to get there because so many people were afraid to share their numbers. But what I have seen is for the people over the last couple of years, when social distancing happened, and now as we go back into the world, all of the world now knows that you can go online and order from Amazon and have what you want maybe in a couple of hours or a day or two. And so now people have that mentality that they want to shop from their phone. And so if you're able to put systems in place that allow your clients right now to order an arch, a column, a delivery bouquet, and maybe even a full setup from their phone while they're thinking about it, they will do it. And I see Belinda Barrier and her website, she has really added a lot of these steps where people can go right into their website and purchase. So I just want to throw that out there for our balloon pros that sometimes struggle with this, is that at least having the pricing there is awesome, step number one. But step number two, Diana Gladden does an excellent job on this too, of having items on there that people can go ahead and just buy and make that purchase now, so you don't have to go through all the back and forth phone calls. So I'm so glad that you shared this part. I'm not seeing any other questions come up right now on pricing, so I think they know it's something they need to do, and we can keep moving on.
That's awesome. And I want to just tie that point home with the last point you made there, Joette, of really at the heart of why this is important. You said, then you don't have to do that back and forth. And that's what this is getting at, is making those transactions with the client as frictionless as possible. For the client that is ready to jump in, who knows what their budget is, why add an extra step of having to, for them to reach out to you? If you're on an installation, can't get back to them right away, they're now waiting around, likely going and shopping other vendors, by the way, and they're going to move with the person who can get back to them first. That is just part of the industry where we are. And part of what Amazon has created is, hey, I can get this quickly. And so by eliminating this as a step for your client, you're actually providing this really easy experience for them. And of course, you always then have the opportunity to talk about customization or tweaks or taking, a step further, but this is going to enable you to keep the clients on track and keep the ball moving forward. Cool. Next mistake, and this is after you have, clearly articulated what it is you do and how much it is that those products and services cost, leaving your website without a call to action or without a next step for what your clients should do, right? Think about this as you've had this great warm up. You have a website now that showcases everything that you're doing for the client, that, clearly articulates their price. So we're all warmed up and we're ready to go. But now what? It is like an imperfect pass in a relay. So you want to make sure you have that call to action, because people are busy. People's attention spans are so short, and you are the expert, right? The client, whether they know it or not, is relying on you to dictate how this race should be won. They are waiting on you to dictate what the steps are to work with you. And so without a call to action of call us, not my favorite call to action, because you like to sleep at night and maybe you're working with some overnight, late guys, early morning risers, or you have a form on your website, or it is submit a quote, or for those of you who do full e-commerce like checkout now, it is so important to have that as part of the website. I'm going to pause my screen really quick and shift to this event. I'll showcase a couple of different looks here. This Flippin' Wedding is one that I go back to. It is one that is based in rentals, but I will say their methodology here is going to work for any type of company. What I love here is that their website tells a story. The Flippins got married, everyone had a flippin' good time, and we're really getting the client excited about the experience that was created. They've gone so far as to double down and giving a quote from the bride on how much she enjoyed working with them. and even gave a little bit of social proof in the fact that this wedding appeared in Rocky Mountain Bride magazine and talked about this wedding as well. So we've painted the vision for the client. We've explained what it is we're doing. We've got the social proof. And now my call to action is very clear. If I want to party like the Flippins, here are the exact products and services that Alpenglow provided to this client. All they have to do is add those products and services to a wish list, pick the event date and time, and this wish list is submitted. That is so easy for the clients to do at any point in time so that your clients don't have to make a phone call to you. They don't have to take that extra step. And so no matter the time of day, no matter what they're looking for, they know what step to take with you. Yes, Event Decor and More Lanielle is also a client of ours. She has chosen to break out her services and products by theme, right? So if we take a look at her baby showers page, she highlights some of the popular creations that she's created. Now, a lot of people do this on their websites. It's something that I see time and time again. Yet when I get to the bottom of the gallery page, I don't know what next step to make. Instead, Lanielle has gone so far of, again, setting that expectation of how do I work with you? She has some order minimums, things that are and aren't included. And then she enables you to build that perfect backdrop, that perfect setting, that perfect party experience by saying, hey, for baby showers, here are our, favorite dessert letters. Here is a garland that we can do. Here's a chair that we can provide. And once these products are added to that wish list, right? Again, I can go in, I pick the date of my event, tell them who I am and where the event is taking place, and that gets served on a silver platter to you as a next step. So these are my favorite call to actions. Shameless plug for Good Shuffle Pro's website wishlist that enables you to do this. But the power here is a couple of things. One, that it is helping you highlight your products and services to the client. Two, that you are able to create a clearly articulate with your client of like what it is you need to do. And also the kind of hidden thing in this setup is enabling you to create a good customer experience. So folks that are looking for things for a baby shower are going to find items for their baby shower. For folks that have gotten excited about the flippin' wedding, they know exactly what to get from you. And all those, that time and attention that's taken to building and breaking out websites like that, that is a key to boosting your SEO. So it is always great to start with like a homepage and some basics, but when you want to double down on your rankings and you want to appear more relevant to those little SEO bots, you need to tee up on a platter to the bots and to your clients what it is they're looking for. So if folks are searching for backdrops for baby showers near me or graduation balloons near me, have a page on your website rather dedicated to those products or that service so that the bots can help the client who's looking for those products and services find exactly what you're looking for.
Mallory, I absolutely love the look of the wish list. And so I want to just clarify with folks that your program, Good Shuffle, creates that wish list and it interacts with most websites, correct? There's a couple exceptions, like Wix platform is not a platform that can do anything. And just FYI, for anybody who has a Wix website, it doesn't have great SEO. Like all of my web developers are like, yes, Wix is easy and something that somebody can make themselves, but it doesn't allow you to use these types of programs or have the great SEO content. And so if somebody wants to be able to have this wish list function for their website, can you give us a list of a couple of the websites that are compatible with, or how they can find out if their current website is compatible with your program to be able to do these features?
Absolutely. And we work with so many folks that have transitioned from Wix because I know what an easy platform it is to get started. Lanielle from Yes Event Decor, she's somebody that we worked closely with. We transitioned her onto the Squarespace platform. That's my personal favorite because I find that it's easy to manage. They have some beautiful templates for you to use. I also like Weebly. They have a easy to use interface for folks that are maybe working with a developer or want something more highly customized. WordPress is an option as well. That requires a lot of doing your own kind of maintenance for security certificates and things like that. So I tend to shy away from WordPress, but it has a lot of great functionality. So it's not because of that that I typically don't recommend folks to WordPress. I'll shine the light more on Squarespace and Weebly.
Great. And so one of the companies that we work a lot with is called Asset Lab.
Mhm.
Jeff Kelly. And that's somebody that if I haven't introduced to you yet, I will, to see if his websites are compatible with yours or not, with your program. So that is a great shout out. That was a question that was asked. So I will put an email out to the two of you guys to introduce each other, to see. I do know that when he's doing some of his custom websites, I believe some of those are done in WordPress. I'm not sure about his builder sites though.
Yeah.
So that
A
would be
lot of the folks, a lot of developers that work to build custom websites, those are often built on WordPress. It isn't as popular anymore to build fully custom websites, but those Good Shuffle Pros plugin would work with as well. For the technical folks in the group, what you need to be able to do is edit the CSS on the website, which is just being able to edit the code on the website. And that is what is limiting about the Wix platform. So the things that make it easy for you to use for drag and drop and things like that, great, but it doesn't enable you to make any backend edits, which is really what we're looking for with the Good Shuffle Pro integration. All right, closing out a couple of other things to think through on your best practices here is when you are having a call to action. One of the things I wanted to address is forms on a website. Forms can sometimes feel like a multiple choice test or the SAT, right? I talked a little bit about folks are coming to you to be the expert here. So if you are asking them all of these questions right out of the gate that they don't know the answer to you, how do you think that that would make somebody feel? Right? It stinks to show up for a test and not know what answer to choose. Instead, you are the expert. So gather the essentials, the things that you really need to know and understand in order to take the next step to the client. I have some folks that have said, well, Mallory, what if my clients have done this before? They know exactly what to give me. Okay, fine. I may acquiesce. Like if you want to have additional fields beyond the essentials, you can. I just lament to make them optional so that it's not a blocker in somebody moving forward with you, or like we talked about, creating that additional friction. The last thing is what I started with, setting and forgetting your website, expecting that, hey, I've done all these changes, I've made these tweaks, and now I'm done, right? And that's just not how websites work. SEO bots are continuously crawling your website to see what's new, to see if you're active. If you're letting your website go stagnant, the bots can make the assumption that, oh, is this an active business? Are they like offering new products? Are they growing? Are they expanding? Are they doing anything new? So you want to make sure to keep your website fresh. This does not mean a grandiose overhaul every quarter. This does not mean a rebrand every year. Again, we want to keep our mindset in that things that I can do incrementally as I go to boost my website and therefore my revenue. Think about this as a home remodel, right? You can, of course, take stuff down to the studs and rebuild a house, but it's more popular or easier to, hey, let's work on a paint job. Hey, let's get some new rugs and do things incrementally. You may want to refresh things seasonally or for a big upcoming event. So think about that approach similar to a home remodel. Or think about a shopkeeper, right? Somebody in that has a storefront, a brick and mortar storefront, is certainly not going to always have the same pieces in their window display. And of course, as they offer more products or introduce styling services into their mix, those are things that they're going to want to update from the website as well. And I certainly know you all are updating your products and services as well, right? Constantly shipping in new inventory, new colors, new styles. And so you want to make sure that as those products and services are coming in, that you highlight them on your website. One of the tips and tricks that I have found from some of our users actually is before they're making big purchasing decisions, even plugging some of those items in on their website to see how clients respond to them before they make some of those big purchases. Search engines are generating so much traffic for your website, 300% more traffic than your social media is. So I don't want to underscore the importance of staying active on social, but to make the assumption that a post on social media is helping your business in the same way as as your website is not really true. So definitely give your website the time and attention that it needs, that it deserves, because if you can put some time and effort into your website is going to pay dividends in a way that your social media just can't, because the little bots aren't crawling your social media in the same way. Your call to actions on social media are not the same as they are on your website. And I want to kind of peep a couple of websites where you can have something very basic. This is some kind of a production company website I grabbed. It looks like this website hasn't been touched in maybe a couple decades. But if compare that to something that is a little bit more polished, a little bit more modern, I'm also now more engaged and I'm more curious as to what is happening here. On this previous site, it looks like a popular strategy decades ago was keyword stuffing. So they just put a bunch of different like areas that they serve and products and services that they offer and just put them all on the home page. The bots also want something, or the bots also keep in mind of like how often folks are interacting with your page, how long visitors are staying on your website, and how much they're clicking around on your website. So when you have something like this, okay, you've checked that first requirement, right? Of, hey, they've listed, their products on their website. Look, Mallory, they even have a call to action of a free estimate. But I, as a visitor, am not spending a lot of time on this website. Whereas on this fresher version, I am taking some time to explore around. One thing I want to address too while we're on this topic is the use of templates. A lot of times people will come to me and say, Mallory, I want something that's just so unique. I don't want it to look like anything else on the market. Part of the reason I didn't go with Squarespace is because all the templates look the same. Let's dig into that a little bit, because there's a reason templates work. So many websites have a similar flow to them. That helps the user feel familiar with what to expect, where to click, and where you want them to go. So what I don't want you to focus on is how to create a standout website that's so unique that a person doesn't know how to find their way. I liken this to a little bit, for a wedding, the cute little like watercolor maps that brides will often put in a arrival bag. They're cute, right? They're so fun. They put a smile on your face. They're creative, but they're not really practical, right? When I'm taking a look at like how to get from my hotel to the chapel, or from the chapel to the church or reception venue, where am I going? I'm going to Google Maps. I'm going to Apple Maps, because that's going to take me exactly step by step where I need to go. Your websites should be the same way. Absolutely make them creative. Refresh the content. Put your best foot forward, but don't over-invent the wheel such that it's hard for clients to find where they're going. I have a couple examples of how this can show up. So we talked a little bit about on the Yes Decor website, how Lanielle has broken out her decor packages or her offerings into these different types of events. So that is one way to keep your website fresh and up to date. Another way to go about that is putting a blog on your website. So a few ideas I have, this is my fake event website, eventmasters.dev, if anyone wants to poke around for some suggestions. But this is on my blog, some hot topics, right? Hey, what are some games to liven up the wedding reception, right? For balloon folks, what are some maybe 3 or 5 creative posts, right? BuzzFeed gave at least the millennial group the strong desire of loving a good list. So how can you list some of your clients' favorite product offerings in order to get folks the content they want? The other way to do this is showing seasonally. Hey, here's exactly what you need for a holiday party or for a Mother's Day brunch. You could also highlight specific events that you're doing, right? Like, hey, we did this fun photo shoot for a cutie on the way, and then detailing out the products and services that are included in that. You can also notice that what are these posts have in common? They're all very visually driven and not relying on the text as the thing that everyone has to get through. It's one of those things I liken to the recipe posts when you're searching for a recipe, right? They're sometimes so tedious. And I'm like, hey, just give me the summary, show me, how to create this recipe and let's go. Similarly, on these websites, get the client excited about your vision, talk about how you accomplish it, and give them a clear call to action. If your website is stagnant, if you're not making some of these tweaks along the way, right? It's a little bit like an outdated haircut. It's a little bit about living in the past decade. And those are the types of things that can really kind of show your age on your website, because people are going to be really attracted to the things that are modern, fresh, and new. Anyone that wants to screenshot the 5 best practices for event websites that we discussed today, this is your little key that you can keep, on your desktop as something to, revisit once a month, once a quarter. Do an audit every now and again and make sure that you're going through this checklist. It's going to help boost your SEO. That's inevitably going to help where you're showing up in search results. And we know the higher that you appear in search results, the more traffic you get to your website. The more traffic on your site, the more folks you can convert. So it all really starts with some of these fundamentals here. 2 quick tips for that are bonus, probably more so for our companies that are working with a developer or someone that manages their website, is remembering how much time and attention needs to be paid to your SEO strategy. The vast majority of people are not going past the first page in Google results. So I love that Google still likes to showcase, hey, we have 100 million results related to what you just searched. The fact of the matter is, I'm probably not scrolling past the first page. Unlikely that I'm scrolling past the second. So investing money in your SEO is wildly important, as is the speed of your website. So paying attention to how quickly your page loads is important as well, because our attention spans are so bad that if your page is not loading by 5 seconds, people are like, oh, something must be wrong. They're going back to Google, they're going back to Bing, they're going back to whoever they're searching from and picking from somebody else. So run those tests on your website. Talk to developers if you have folks watching out for this. Good Shuffle Pro also has toolkits for SEO on the education portion of our website that is full of good resources as well. Joette, as we wrap up here, any questions from the audience that we want to take a deeper dive into?
I am checking that right now for you. Um, one little side note, just for those people who are watching that might not be totally familiar with the balloon industry, is one little thing that was that balloon release thing. We stopped doing balloon releases for the industry in 2016 because of environmental concerns, but I totally understand the idea of having a blog.
Yes, I will update
And
that
catching
photo on my website. That is good context to know.
but I love the idea of grabbing people's attention. But yeah, so one of the things that I want to make sure, guys, is that you use this time real quick while we have Mallory for a few more minutes, is to ask questions about anything that she did in your presentation today. The thing that I love is that so many times when we hear stuff from people that we hang out with all the time, we may not take action, but when we hear it from someone else new, we sometimes do. So many of the things that Mallory talked today is things that Jeff Kelly with Asset Lab has talked to us about many times at Balloon Boss Summit and on our webinars for our Balloon Boss Mastermind program and our general things about website platforms and things like that. So I love when you're able to hear the same information but from a different voice, and knowing that, oh, maybe since Mallory said it and these other two people told me too, maybe now I should go ahead and do it. So
Yeah.
I love the information that you shared today. And then a reminder that for tomorrow, and anybody who watches as a replay, to know that there is a second replay you'll be able to watch. That tomorrow we're going to be talking about Good Shuffle and basically how it applies to teams and for people that have those larger companies that may really want to dive into the questions of how the dashboard works and all of those things. Correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
This
So I like to let
will
people know there is a part two.
Yeah, absolutely. And Joanne, I think what a lot of what you were referring to is a great point also on the websites too, right? You're talking a lot about that social proof, right? If I'm saying it and somebody else is saying it and somebody else is saying it, it must be true. And folks are looking for that on your website too. So like those examples that I gave with the testimonials or showing your event in a magazine, these are all little things that, again, whether the client realizes it or not, they're marking off little, oh, +1, +1, +1 in that checkbox of should I do business with you or not. So that's why it's important to be clear and back that up so you are getting that social proof and clients are, you have kind of some external validation for what it is that you're trying to push on your website.
One of the questions that it came up in the notes was asking if people should charge for people to have access to their pricing or to their boards. So wanted to maybe clarify on that, like what's the difference between showing people pricing and then maybe like making a customized mock-up, that kind of thing.
Great question. So anything that is like out of the box that you don't have to sink a lot of time into, reinvent the wheel on, push those as products on your website, either for folks to purchase or rent. Again, make that as frictionless as possible. For things that are going to be truly custom, I actually love this question. I always love the context of, hey, here's what those services generally run. And one of the things that I've talked to other folks in this industry about is why not get a contract signed and a deposit down before sharing some of those creative or custom visions? Absolutely make that clear and actionable on your website. Attach a price to it, at least as like a starting cost. And then get that contract signed, get that deposit, because that will also give you, I'm certain we've all been there, right? Those clients who are a time suck and you go back and forth on different designs, you go back and forth on different concepts. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, just kidding. I'm going to, buy the balloons and do it myself. So I definitely want you all to protect your intellectual property. So the way that you can go about that is saying, great, you've provided some inspiration photos for what it's like. I have some thoughts on my own. Here are the terms of how we should work together. Get that signed. Have a small deposit. And even if it's like a $250 non-refundable deposit, that is going to help folks get committed to the fact that they want to work with you in particular. And that, Joette, I know is the other thing that's so important here is showcasing everyone's unique value beyond just here are the balloons that I can put together and here's how much it's going to cost, right? all of you on this webinar are doing just that. So it's important for you in those packages, in those conversations, and on your website to highlight and showcase your unique value.
I love it. So, if anybody has other questions you would like to ask Mallory, go ahead and type them into the chat. I would be glad to be able to follow that up. One person put that the wish list feature is great because they also have some rentals. So, adding those to the order is a great idea of being able to do that.
I love that. And if you don't mind, Joette, I'm going to go ahead and share my contact information.
Yeah, I was
So
going to ask you if you can type it into the chat and then also show it here. That'd be great. Yes.
Yes. So a couple of options here. I will type my email into the chat so it's an easy copy paste. Feel free to shoot me an email. I also have a QR code. If you have a desire to set up 20 minutes with me, we can take a deeper dive into your website, right? And highlight and go through some of the recommendations I may have on that front. And also talk about specifically those calls to action and how Good Shuffle Pro may be able to help you there. So thank you everyone for tuning in today. Thank you, Joette, for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Cool. Leave that up for a second. So here's what the tip is take your phone right now, take a picture of it. And as you're taking a picture of her QR code, it'll come up where you can push the button and it says meet with Mallory, follow up from speaking engagement, and gives you that 20-minute. And so it's a great way to go ahead and be able to ask her some other questions that you might have about how her program might be able to help you out. So giving you a moment to do that, to go ahead and take that picture now, get it your phone.
Yeah.
Take the picture, or the Mallory, go ahead also and type it into the chat. Mallory at goodshufflepro.com, so people know that that's the other way if they're not being able to do the screenshot, if they can go ahead and be able to email you, Mallory at goodshufflepro.com.
And of course, I'll be back with you again tomorrow for the Lunch and Learn, so that we'll take a little bit of a deeper dive into the back end management of your business, scaling for teams, scaling for your business, and how this all can interconnect.
Excellent. And I'm making sure that that went out to everybody. I think you did it to hosts and panelists. So if you can click it and type to the down arrow and
sorry about that.
Everyone.
Let's do it to everyone and we will resend.
Yeah. And then the other question that people were asking is what was the address for that demo website that you had made that people could look at? So if you can type that into the chat also.
Absolutely.
And then what I'm going to do while you're doing that is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen for just a second. And for those of you guys who are not a part of our Balloon Boss Mastermind program yet, or you haven't been to a Balloon Boss Summit, or you are interested in having some hands-on training and be a part of my summer tour, I wanted to let you know that I am getting ready to leave in just a week from today. I will be traveling to Atlanta, Nashville, St. Charles, Missouri, Baxter, Minnesota, and Naperville, Illinois. So you can just go right to BalloonCoach.com and click on Summer Tour to be a part of that. And then if you're watching this later down the road, each summer I do try to travel to at least 2 different locations. So you can check that out and grab your ticket to join us. Would love to see you on the road. And if you are struggling with your business of taking that next step and you want extra support, just like the information that we were given today, but at your fingertips 24/7, you can go right onto the website and click on Mastermind. And in our Mastermind program, we're able to help you with those pricing guides and help you take the action on the things that she was talking about today. So I wanted to let you know it's really easy to go in. It's a monthly subscription, so you can cancel it anytime. No harm, no foul. Just come in and stay with us as long as you need to help you take those next steps. So again, I just like people to know that BalloonCoach.com is there to help you guys and support you. And then we do have our YouTube channel. So when you're on a computer, you can push the YouTube channel. It takes you over, and this webinar replay will be there and live there for you guys. So wanted to make sure you guys know that those resources are at your fingertips 24/7. Mallory, thank you so much. We look forward to part 2 tomorrow. And what I'm going to do at this time is stop our recording. And for anybody who's watching the replay, to know that when you join us live on our webinars, you're able to hang around after for some bonus conversation. Mallory, thank you so much for being here today. People can email you, Mallory at goodshufflepro.com, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
We'll see you then, Joette. Thank you.